So, welcome everybody, good morning. Today is SUBU's takeover of Your Career Week, and we're kicking this morning off with Georgia, who is from Raleigh International, one of SUBU's overseas charity partners for this year. And I've invited Georgia to talk to you guys today about their volunteering opportunities and their challenges that they run, and how these can give you some really useful kind of life skills, some amazing experience, and can really help you kind of upskill your CV and make you really stand out from the crowd, but also they sound really cool and really fun as well. So it's the best of both worlds. So as I said before, if you've got any questions, please just unmute yourself, pop your video on, or make use of the chat. But yeah, I'm just going to hand over to Georgia now to kind of talk us all through it. So over to you, Georgia.
Amazing. Thank you, Emma. Thank you all for joining us and wanting to hear a little bit more about who we are and what it is that we do. So I'm going to use this time to talk to you about what can be gained from a Raleigh expedition. So a bit of background information about me. My name is Georgia. I'm the Events and Marketing Officer at Raleigh, and I've been working for the organisation for just over 2 years. But that's not where I kind of first started with Raleigh. I actually wanted to go and take part in something exactly like this. So I always wanted to take a gap year, but I was the last year to get the £3,000 university fees. So I had to put my gap year on hold and think about what it was that I wanted to do afterwards. I went and did a 4-year course at uni. I had a placement year, and then during my final year of uni, because it was a 4-year course, a lot of my friends had already graduated and were off traveling the world and doing amazing things, and I was just getting really jealous of them. So I kind of shopped about a bit, looked at different organisations. I wanted to travel, but I wanted to do something worthwhile as well. And my auntie actually told me about Raleigh because she worked for an insurance company that insured them. So I went along to one of their information events that they had. I took my dad along with me to make sure that he was happy about what it was that I wanted to sign up for. And then in 2015, in October, I found myself on a 10-week expedition to Tanzania. So this time 5 years ago, I was actually on track to the day. It could have been this photo that you can see on the screen here. And the reason why I look particularly grubby and like I haven't showered for a week is because the truth is I hadn't. That hair stayed in that plait for far too long. But yeah, I had an absolutely incredible time, enjoyed it so much that when I came home, I started to be an alumni speaker, to speak at events, and then I went and got myself a job with the organisation. So that's how much I loved my experience and what it's done for me. And I think that's always nice to remember when you are looking at different volunteer opportunities, think about how it is going to affect what it is that you then go on to do later on down the line. And a bit of background information in that is my degree is in fashion communication and promotion. So the communication and promotion side of things is still relevant, not so much the fashion side, but I definitely opted well for working in the charity sector instead. So why do people want to volunteer abroad? So it's great, the summers during university are so long that you've got a fantastic opportunity to go and get involved in different things. So it's an opportunity to kind of travel and learn more about the world. You might go to a country that you've never been to before that particularly interests you. It is a fantastic opportunity to gain skills, to help with your career. Even like the confidence from it as well is definitely something that I took away from my expedition and has helped me get where I am today. It's a fantastic opportunity to meet different people from around the world. It's an opportunity to have a challenge and definitely have an adventure, and to kind of really, have that time to reflect on, how it is that you're going to plan for the next year, and, just kind of take care of your mental well-being as well. And going and volunteering abroad can open up opportunities that you'd never have expected. So while working for Raleigh, I have been and done so much. I've visited the Netherlands to host these events in person. I travel up and down the UK normally in a non-COVID world. I got the opportunity to go to Costa Rica last summer to experience part of our expedition there. And then at the beginning of this year, I spent just over 6.5 weeks traveling around America, attending USA Gap Year fairs, talking to different people about our opportunities. So I have gained so much from just going on that 10-week expedition, because there is no way that it'd be me sat presenting to you today if I hadn't gone and taken part in my expedition. So definitely think about all the opportunities that it could open up for you, because I had no idea that this is how amazing my career would be following this. So if we gain some perspective, when you're 70 years old, what are you going to wish that you'd done? You know, what are things that like kind of go through your mind? Do you wish that when you graduated that, you know, you go and get that dream career that you've always wanted? Are you know, do you want to have a house? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to go on nice holidays every year? Do you wish that, you know, you'd spent those summers going and getting involved in something different, and then you can come back and tell people about it, you know, something great to put on your CV? What I often say to people is you regret the things that you don't do rather than the things that you do. You know, we're not always going to make the right choices, but at least from any mistakes that we have made, then we can learn from those different things. You don't want to kind of, you know, be sat in retirement and looking back and thinking, I really wish that I had gone and joined that Raleigh expedition on that summer. You know, so really think about what it is that you want to kind of look back and be like, I'm really glad that I did that. So how do you go about choosing who you want to volunteer abroad with? So there is plenty of different organisations out there. There's almost too many to choose from, but it is really good to kind of go and volunteer with a structured programme. So you know exactly what it is that you're getting involved in, you know, their mission and vision, you know, and why it is that they're doing the work that they do. But also think about, you know, what do you want to get out of it? What do you want to achieve during this time? You know, you might want to have that opportunity to travel and make a difference, to create sustainable change around the world, and then also to contribute towards the sustainable development goals maybe as well, all of which you will do on a Raleigh expedition. So on the screen here, you can see myself, which is from Costa Rica, two other people in Raleigh t-shirts. We've got Tim Peake there and Prince William. And what we all have in common is that we've all taken part in Raleigh expeditions. So Raleigh's open for anyone and everyone all around the world, even astronauts. And here's a little bit of a history about Raleigh. So we have been going for quite a while. We started in 1984, so we've got over 35 years worth of experience behind us. So we're pretty proud of who it is that we are and what it is that we do. We've had over 50,000 people volunteer with us, so you'd be joining a massive family of alumni. And our volunteers are aged between 17 and 24 because we believe that young people have got the power, energy and passion to create lasting change in the world. So you're really driving these projects forward that you're working on. You're the power behind that to make these changes happen, which is why you're such a fundamental part of our expeditions. And we're currently working in Nepal and Costa Rica. So what I normally get people to do at this point, Emma, I can't see the chat, but if you can, what I would like for you to imagine is tomorrow, you know, you're all going to the airport, it's a COVID-free environment, and you have got a blank plane ticket and you can put either Nepal or Costa Rica on this plane ticket. Where is it that you would like to go? And Emma, if you can let me know some of the answers, then that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd like to go to Costa Rica personally.
Yeah.
It just sounds tropical and lovely and lush, and yeah, that's yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we've got 2 Costa Ricas so far. Perfect. And a Nepal.
Amazing.
Anyone else? Where do you fancy going?
Costa Rica is. Oh, nice. Nice balance then.
Yeah. Oh, and another Nepal.
Oh, okay. Costa Rica is normally the most popular one, so I'm pleasantly surprised. Okay, perfect, amazing. Well, yeah, either country is a fantastic opportunity to go to, and Nepal is definitely on my list now that I've ticked off Costa Rica as well. So what's involved in these expeditions to Costa Rica and Nepal? So we run 4, 5, 7 and 10 week expeditions. 10 weeks, like the one that I took part in, are the most popular because you get to do each phase that we do that you can see on the screen here. So community, environmental and our adventure leadership track. If you go on a 7-week expedition, you'll do 2 out of the 3, and each of those will be for 3 weeks, around 19 days. If you were to go to Costa Rica for a 4-week expedition, you would take part and mainly focus on a community or an environmental project, and then again have the shorter adventure leadership track. If you were to go to Nepal for 5 weeks, you would focus on a community project, and then you would go on another shorter adventure leadership track as well. And the reason why Costa Rica is 4 weeks and the reason why Nepal is 5 weeks is because the track is a little little bit longer in Nepal because you're trekking in the foothills of the Himalayas. So people always want to spend a little bit of extra time doing that, and I really don't blame them. So I'm going to talk about Trek first because it's definitely the one that people are either really excited about or quite apprehensive about. And I was definitely the latter when I went on my expedition. I was quite frankly a nervous wreck. I am not a trekker. I hadn't had much experience in it and it was quite out of my comfort zone. However, I loved it so much. So when you go on a slightly longer expedition, you don't know what order your projects are going to be in. And my trek was first, and I was kind of in the mindset of, good, let's get this over and done with so that I can enjoy the rest of my time. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. And I look back and I just have such fond, funny memories from it. So on the shorter treks, you're trekking for around about 5 days in Nepal. In Costa Rica, you're trekking for around 3 to 4 days. And you're basically carrying everything that is that you need on your back to help support your team. So you might be carrying the tent, someone else might be carrying the food, you might be carrying a water pump, and it's your opportunity to really pull together as a team and work together to make sure that you can get from A to B as well. You'll be staying in tents just like these ones, and if you go to Nepal, waking up to views just like this as well. So pretty incredible that you can wake up to snow-capped mountains every morning. And yeah, kind of going back to basics, when I was both in Costa Rica and Tanzania, we were kind of in the mindset of where can we camp? You know, is there flat land? Is there water? You know, is there firewood? Fantastic, we can absolutely camp here then as well. Like I said, it is fantastic for your team building skills, but it's also a great opportunity for your leadership development as well. So each volunteer will get to be the leader of the group for the day and basically make all the decisions. So you also have volunteer managers that will be on your expeditions, and they're 25 to 75, and they're there to support you. So you might sit down with one of them the night before, map out how far it is that you're going to walk that day, you know, think about when you're going to take your rest breaks, where are you going to camp when you get there, who's doing what jobs like cooking, collecting firewood, water, who's putting the tents up. So there is a lot more to trek than just trekking. And then you also get to see incredible views like this one as well. And it is nice to just kind of like go back to those, you know, basic kind of living environment. What I loved about trek so much is the social aspects of it. You get to know people on trek so well because you are just constantly walking and talking with each other. So I often say to people, you're going to make your best friends on trek because there is nothing to do but look up, see the environment, walk and talk with each other. You might be listening to the same, you know, 7 songs on your phone because those are the only ones that you downloaded and beforehand you didn't think to download anymore, but they kind of become the theme tune to your expedition. And you might get to meet different communities along the way. In Nepal, you'll have professional guides on your trek as well. And it's always really nice to get to know them, you know, and listen to their stories and whatever it is that they've got to share with you. In Tanzania, we saw, you know, we saw cave paintings, we met members of Maasai tribes, we visited hot springs. So there is plenty to kind of see as you go along as well. And then in Costa Rica, we have our environmental phase. So we are working in the national parks to help promote ecotourism. So 25% of the world is made up of biodiversity, and 5% of that is in Costa Rica. So there's loads of nature to preserve. So what we're doing is working alongside the park rangers, making sure that these parks are easily accessible. So tourists have got easy access in and out so that they can enjoy the environment, and it means that they've got steady income coming in from the visitors, and it means that the park rangers can also then, you know, continue to work there. But it's also really important, you know, for scientists and researchers to be able to continue their work in these parks as well. So you could be creating pathways like this one that you can see in the picture. You might be doing some reforestation projects in the park, like on this one. This was actually a project that I got to work on last summer in Costa Rica for a couple of days, and I absolutely loved it. So I was working in a place called Wayabo National Monument, and it had hundreds of year old artifacts in there, which were just a bit overgrown because the park ranger is only one person, and can't maintain the park on his own. So we were clearing them, making sure that they were visible so that tourists could enjoy them. We got great perks of it. So the parks would close at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We were literally camping over the road to the park, so we got to go and enjoy it when it was shut to everyone else. He took us on night walks, so we learnt loads there as well. But we also did lots of awareness raising as well. So going into local schools, teaching them about climate change, about the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which I mentioned is what we contribute towards on our projects. We did recycling relay races with the students. We encouraged them all to bring a plastic bottle, and we were planting vegetable seeds with them in order to encourage them to go home and start their own organic vegetable patches at home as well. So lots of interactions in that aspect as well, which was really, really lovely. And then we have a community project in Nepal. So we don't currently run an environmental project here because we really want to concentrate on the community members. And our community projects here are water sanitation and hygiene based. So this is Sun Maya. She was in a community that benefited from one of our water sanitation and hygiene projects. So we did plan on starting to work in Nepal in 2015. However, when the earthquake hit, we had to really evaluate what it was that we wanted to work on. So for our first 3 expeditions for the first year, our volunteers focused on building earthquake resilient homes so that if another earthquake did happen, then they had more of a chance of being, still standing at the end of it. Since then, we have been working on our water sanitation hygiene projects because still these communities are still suffering from after the earthquakes, and water is just not as easily accessible. So this community was quite high up in the mountains, so it meant that water was harder to get hold of. In the rainy season, the water might get contaminated with mud and dirt, so they had to be really, really careful and think about how they were preserving the water, how they were keeping hold of it. Equally, in the dry seasons when there wasn't as much rainfall, it meant that they were having to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning in order to go and collect water for the day. So what we have been doing within these communities is digging the pits to then hold a water tank. So it could involve creating these pits, it could involve building the water tanks. Don't worry if you've never mixed cement or had any experience like that before. I had it when I went into Tanzania, so it's definitely something that you pick up very, very quickly. So our volunteers were creating this 8,000 litre water tank, which would store rainwater so that during the dry season and even during the wet season, it meant that they were getting safe drinking water to drink. So you could be doing things like this. You could be digging the trenches in order to lay the pipelines so that the water can go from that water tank and then reach tap stands within the communities as well. So you could be building these tap stands, you could be building hand washing stations, but again, doing lots of awareness raising with the community members, teaching them the 7 steps of hand washing, which I've been saying to everyone we've all come to know and love since COVID. So definitely a fantastic opportunity to get involved with them in that aspect. Some other awareness raising sessions that we've been doing there as well are menstrual hygiene sessions with the women in the communities. So teaching them how to make reusable sanitary products out of any materials that they might have, because it might not be as easily accessible for them to get sanitary products like it is for us. So sharing those different skills and tips that we have with them as well. So it's all very well and good me saying this is all the amazing work that we do and this is, how we're contributing. But these are just a couple of facts from our 2018 impact report. So from our work just in that year, in Nepal, over 3,250 people gained access to safe drinking water at their homes just from building those water tanks and building those tap stands within their communities. And in Costa Rica, Indigenous communities were supported to create businesses which protected local environments as well. So these are just 2 stats from 1 year. Like I said, we've been going since 1984. So imagine the amount of impact that we've had since we started and the amount of impact that we're going to have going forward. We are an international organisation, so we have volunteers come from literally all over the world. So because we are a UK based organisation, we do have a lot of volunteers come from the UK. Whichever country it is that you choose to go to, there'll be other young people from that country. And then we also have volunteers come from the Netherlands, America, Canada, Spain, Germany, Belgium, Australia. So it is a very international programme. So you're going to make friends with people from literally all over the world. When I went to America, I met one of my friends that I hadn't seen since we left the airport in Tanzania just over 4 years ago at that point. And when we met up, it was like nothing had changed. It was so lovely to see her. So it's definitely a great way to stay in touch with people as well. And you do very much get to become members of the community. So at the moment, normally in Nepal, we would offer a homestay, but with regards to COVID, that might not be a possibility at the moment. But we don't offer our homestays in Costa Rica, but there is still plenty of opportunities to, kind of get to know them and live within their environment and, get to know the park rangers as well. So it's a fantastic opportunity to get to know who it is that you're working with as well. And the food can be quite basic. I'm not going to lie to you and say that it's all exciting. In Costa Rica, you are going to be eating a lot of rice and beans. If you go to Nepal, you're going to be eating dal bhat twice a day, every day, which is rice and a lentil curry. But I know people who've been to Nepal and they said they never get bored of it. It's always delicious. Different people cook it in different ways, so it always tastes amazing. And when you've been digging one of those pits for a water tank, or you've been building these hand washing stations, it's great energy at the end of the day as well. So we are a charity, so we do like to talk about fundraising targets rather than costs, because we do encourage people to fundraise in order to go on one of our expeditions. I appreciate that these figures can look quite daunting, and they definitely did when I was applying to go on my expedition. However, they include so much. So they will include all your in-country travel. So when you land at the airport, there'll be a Raleigh team there ready and waiting to pick you up, take you to field base, where you're going to receive 5 days worth of training, which is also included. So you're going to learn about the projects that you're going to be going on. You'll do a practice trek. You'll learn how to use the tools. We'll go over health and safety, and then all your transport onto the different projects and onto track as well, and then back to the airport at the end. All of your food and accommodation is covered, that's included, all the specialist equipment that you're going to be using while you're out there, and also our travel and medical insurance, so in-country travel and medical. And with regards to medical, I often say to people, if there is anything that you want to share with us, then I can put you in touch with one of our medics and you can have a private discussion with them. Whatever it is that you disclose, don't worry, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't go on expedition. It just means that we're covered for it medically. So I always give the example, if you're asthmatic and you go in country and you have an asthma attack, if you told us, then we're covered for our insurance. So please do get in touch with one of our medics if you want to discuss anything there with them. So to kind of give you a couple of fundraising ideas, a couple of different things that I did as well. Obviously, we are adapting to, we might not necessarily be able to fundraise like we used to. However, there is still some great opportunities to get involved. So you might not necessarily be able to do the official Manchester 10K run, but, you might be able to do a marathon within a month, and get people to sponsor you that way. Now might be a fantastic opportunity to kind of go through your wardrobes. If there's any clothes there that you haven't worn for however long, pop them on eBay, get some money that way for them. Coffee mornings and cake sales, again, they might not be able to happen in person. However, I know some people have just been putting on Facebook, that they're baking banana bread or they're baking a lemon drizzle and they're selling them that way. You could do that and get the money and put that towards your expedition as well. Some people get part-time jobs. If it ever becomes possible again for you to do so, street collections are always a really great way as well. And whether it's money for birthdays or Christmas that you then want to put towards your expedition as well, that's always a fantastic way. We have a massive list of fundraising ideas as well that your volunteer coordinator, when you've signed up for expedition, can send over to you and give you loads of different ideas. Some people have done, Zoom guitar lessons, Zoom quizzes. Don't know if we're all quite Zoom quizzed out yet, but it's for a good cause, so it's always good to get people involved in that way as well. People have also been really creative. You might be really into painting and you might want to sell your paintings that way. We've also got a list of different organizations that you can get in touch with. They have grants, from anywhere like £500 to £1,000 in order to put towards something like this as well. So you might need to fill out a couple of forms and explain what it is that you're doing, but that's always great ways. And especially, I can vouch for this, I got in touch with my volunteer coordinator when I was signing up for my expedition. And I said to him, I'm really stuck. I've done so many different things. I can't bake another cake. People just don't want to eat them anymore. They're a bit exhausted with it. And he said to me, why didn't you get in touch with your local Rotary or Lions Club? They're a small group within the community, and all you'll have to go and do is a presentation for them on what it is that you're going to be doing on Raleigh, talk to them a little bit about what fundraising you've done already, and they'll give you around £100 to £200. And I thought, fantastic, it's a great contribution. I did a presentation for them. Again, took my dad along. He got dragged along to all things Raleigh when I was getting ready for it, for a bit of moral support. And I did my presentation, and they decided to give me £500 to go towards my expedition. So when you're fundraising, I always say to people, live in the mindset of you don't ask, you don't get, because the worst thing that someone could say to you is no, and that's absolutely fine. Don't let it dishearten you, just kind of move on to the next idea as well. So yeah, we can always provide you with those lists of organisations that you can get in touch with and get some contributions towards your fundraising that way as well. So what are you going to gain from an expedition? What are you going to get out of this whole experience apart from the amazing projects that you're going to be working on? So like I said, leadership, especially on trek, but you're going to get that in your community and environmental projects as well. You'll get to be the leader of the day and kind of delegate the tasks and manage the group. And if someone's particularly struggling, if it's on trek, can you take any weight out of their bag? How can you work together as a group? It's fantastic to be able to say that you've done that. And I know you can get leadership skills from quite a few different things, but when you're supporting a group of fellow 12 to 14 volunteers in rural Costa Rica, it stands out in your CV. It's a pretty incredible thing to be able to say that you've done. Teamwork as well. Teamwork is so important on Raleigh in every single aspect of it. Like I just said, supporting each other, but working out how you can get these projects completed in time. What is it? How's your day looking? If some people work on a certain thing and then you're working on a different, is that going to make it that you can get more done? It's really fantastic for that way as well, to really develop your teamwork and your self-confidence. I've always said to people, I'm quite a confident person. I always have been. But when I came back off Raleigh, I completely changed and people saw it. And I just now am in the mindset of I can do anything. If I can trek for 19 days in Tanzania, I can literally do anything. And it will give you that confidence for it. I've gone and traveled independently afterwards, especially after Costa Rica. That was scary, but I still did it. And even the America trip, I went as the only person from Raleigh, and that was quite a daunting experience. But the confidence that I gained from my expedition has led me to be able to go and do things like that. And like I said, your friendships, you are going to meet people from all around the world. And I'm still in touch with people that I went to Tanzania with 5 years ago. I'm still in touch with people that I volunteered in Costa Rica with last summer as well. And what's nice about it is you have so much in common because you've all gone for the same reasons. You've all got the same mindset, and they are the best friendships that you will ever make. And it might be an opportunity to discover new passions as well. You might be going down the line that I went down, and kind of after this, it's, your degree is massively going to help, but you might tweak it a little bit. Like I said, the communication promotion side of my degree is so relevant. I just don't work in fashion. I work in the charity sector instead. So it is a fantastic opportunity to discover that. Or even if, some of you are sat there on engineering courses or international development, it's fantastic to be able to add that you've gone and done something like this in order to, further boost your CV in that mindset. So if you want to find out more, Emma is going to post a link into the chat for you all now. It's a quick online form, just asking you a couple of questions: name, email address, where it is that you might want to go to, what kind of time of the year are you looking at going, and also where it is that you heard about this talk. So obviously Bournemouth University. So if you do want to hear some more information about expeditions, if anything that I've said to you today has made you think, I've never done anything like that, but it does sound pretty good, pop your details down on there. I will then send you over some more information about our expeditions, and basically answer any questions it is that you might have. Please also feel free to write down my email address if kind of after this you do think of questions, and you're like, oh, I didn't think of that, I didn't have time to ask it in the presentation. Please feel free to email me. It's my job to help people sign up for the right expedition for them. So I'm more than happy to help in any way that I possibly can. So to conclude, volunteering abroad can open up massive opportunities that you'd never have expected. Like I said, never did I think that I'd be doing this. I was from Manchester, never wanted to move out of Manchester. And then even just to kind of move to London and go and experience everything that I have in the past 2 years, I think I'm the luckiest person in the world. I absolutely love my job and I can't imagine doing anything else. And that is all from going and volunteering with Raleigh. And our volunteers have also reported that expedition does a lot for them. So it raises their aspirations, like me, it builds their confidence. It definitely enhances employability. You know, if someone sees that you've got Raleigh on your CV, then it's a great thing to have. It will kind of broaden your horizons and outlooks. You know, I came back from it and being like, I don't know why I worry about likes on Instagram or, you know, what else is going on in the world. It's just so nice to kind of be in your own little bubble and enjoy the moment. As cheesy as that sounds, I realized as I was saying that, but it is so true. It's just a completely different mindset that you have. And volunteers have also reported that it supports better academic performances as well, you know, so that's always a nice thing to be able to think about when you're working towards your degree. And I'm going to leave you with this quote. So what we most want is a little bit outside of our comfort zones. I think it's safe to say that this year has thrown us all out of our comfort zones. You know, life as we always knew it has completely changed. But when going and taking part in something like this, you know, if it does scare you a little bit, that's absolutely fine. And you won't be the only person who feels slightly nervous about it as well. I definitely was. But I think you grow and learn more from doing things that are outside of your comfort zone rather than just kind of always staying in it. So like I said, those extra things that I've done with regards to going to America, with regards to traveling around Costa Rica on my own, it's those things that I'm still learning from. So I'm continuing to push myself out of my comfort zone and hopefully you guys can too. Thank you so much for joining this talk. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see any questions that you have. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat. Like Emma said, if you want to turn your camera on, if you want to turn your mic on, then we can have a chat that way. But yeah, I hope I was able to give you a bit of an insight into what it is that we have available, and hope it's something that's interesting to you guys.
Thank you, Georgia. That was really, really useful, really interesting. And it's great to hear from what some of the other volunteers have said as well, and all the kind of employability skills and give them the leadership skills and things like that. I think it's an absolutely excellent opportunity. Please feel free to put any questions in the chat if you have any. But I guess just one that I think that I kind of anticipate some students might ask me whilst we're kind of promoting this to them is, in regards to COVID, obviously if a student signs up, what kind of different practices are in place? Can they still go, or is it just really down to what situation we're in when it comes to close to the trek?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely something that we're kind of working on, and at the moment we haven't ran a program that has been COVID adapted yet. We've not gone back out there yet. We are planning on running our first ones in April. So nothing's set in stone yet, but some of the practices that people are looking at are, do we require our volunteers to self-isolate for 2 weeks before they go out on expedition? We're looking at doing social bubbles. So normally it doesn't really affect our 4 and 5 week expeditions, but if you say go on a 7 or 10 week one, between the projects, volunteers will swap groups. That's not something that we might necessarily be able to do. So it might be that they stay with the same group throughout the whole time, but that can quite happen in 4 and 5 week expeditions as well. So that wouldn't really affect anyone who's interested in our shorter ones during the summer. Like I mentioned, homestays might not be a possibility. You will still be staying, you know, you could be staying in a community building or in those tents that I mentioned. So things like that are being adapted. We might request that you take a certain amount of masks with you. You know, when you get there might be social distancing in place for 2 weeks. So some of the talks that we're currently looking at are, can we run trek first? Because that's when people can be most socially distanced, and then go on to do a different project afterwards. So there's lots that we're looking into, and we'll keep people updated as and when, you know, those procedures are put in place. But
fabulous.
Raleigh's ridiculously safe. I always say to people, like, safety is at the heart of everything that Raleigh does, and it's kind of like a running joke within the office, but it absolutely is. And never once in Tanzania did I feel unsafe. I appreciate it's a slightly different scenario now, but the thing is, like, in Tanzania when I was there for 10 weeks, everything ran so smoothly, and I was just like, oh great, never thought anything of it. Coming and working for the organisation, I see how much hard work goes into everything, and now I'm like, that's why everything runs so smoothly. So we have like duty managers on duty both in the UK 24/7. We have a medic on duty 24/7 in the UK and in each country that we work in as well. So if anyone ever needs to get in touch with people, they can absolutely do that. With regards to track, our field-based officers have like a massive map up on the wall, and they will pin every day, because you'll do 2 communication calls with them. So you'll do like sit reps, and you'll tell them where it is that you're aiming to go to that day. When you get there, you know, you've got your allocated time to ring them. You'll tell them the coordinates of where you are, so they always know where you are, and those different kind of things as well. So if it's safety, Raleigh's already thought about it, which is great.
That's really positive to hear. Thank you.
No worries.
Has anybody else got any questions that they want to ask Georgia while she's here?
If not, what I'm just doing as well, in case anyone missed my email address, is just typing it in the chat. Like I said, if you think of anything afterwards, please do feel free to email me. I've done 2 of these now, so I definitely have got some experience in it. And like I said, it's my job to help you in any way that I can. And trust me, no question is a silly question, because it might be completely out of your comfort zone and you've never done anything like that before. So yeah.
Fabulous.
There we go.
Okay then, well, we'll wrap up today's session. Thank you again, Georgia, from us. Similarly, if you have got any questions, you can feel free to come and speak to the Student Opportunities team in the Student Centre, as we are partnered with Raleigh, or again, just reach straight out to Georgia, because she'll be more than happy to help. Thank you everybody for coming on the call today, and hopefully it has inspired you to do something a little bit different with your summer and help you to gain some new skills. So thank you ever so much, everyone, and thank you, Georgia, and I'll speak to you soon.
Amazing. Thank you.
Bye bye.